Grid Finder is the home of sim racing leagues. Our management tools allow you to recruit drivers and monitor their ratings and live splits. Find this and more at gridfinder.com. Sign up for free today.
Good evening and welcome to the Varjo anniversary community race with me, Tom from Gridfinder, and Runa from Varjo. How you doing, Runa?
I'm doing good, Tom. Thanks. It's super exciting to be here. Our first ever community race. It's going to be a great evening and hopefully some good racing as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. So essentially, we've been running a hotlap competition for the last 2 weeks for members of the Varjo community within your Discord, kind of in celebration of Varjo's anniversary. So, Runa, which anniversary is it, and what else are you doing to celebrate?
Sure, yeah. So the Varjo, we released it about 2 years ago now. It's been a really good journey for both us and also for our community members. It's been really cool. In regards of the 2-year anniversary, as maybe a lot of you saw, we reduced the price to make the headset a lot more affordable a few weeks back, and we are also using this event to celebrate that and show that we also want to give back to the community.
Yeah, nice. And we just spent the weekend together at the Sim Racing Expo. It was really fun watching people try the Varjo Aero headset on. It's surprising, the reactions, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. It was super cool event. I think we had a couple of hundred people, if not almost 1,000 people through VR during the 3-4 days that we were in Germany. It was the feedback overall. It's been absolutely amazing. I think overall the overall engagement we had was amazing. We always had a really good and a long queue, and a lot of people came up to me and us as a team and said they were glad to be a part of the community, and I thought it was fun to be able to test out our headsets for those that doesn't have it themselves. Yeah,
you seem to have a real core group of super fans. I've been in the Varjo Discord for a little while now, watching people talk about everything from their settings to the cars that they like to drive in VR, which ones lend themselves better to VR and the kind of the immersive experience they get, right? And we spoke about this quite a lot on the Sim Sundays podcast when you came on. And I was thinking, I remember talking to you on the podcast about how much I enjoy driving open wheel cars in VR, right? So driving an open wheel car, you get this very strange feeling of being sat outside. You almost feel exposed because you kind of lean over the sides, look over and see where the wheels are touching the curbs whilst you're driving. It's intense.
Absolutely, it's a completely different experience for those that have not tried to race in VR yet. It's such a unique experience, actually being able to see depth and feel see it actually inside a car that you're not able to get with triple monitors. But it's been super cool.
Yeah, it has been cool. So we decided to go with the Lotus 72D, which is a lot of fun to drive. It's a little bit scary. We set that as the hot lap car, and of course it's going to be the car that's used in the race. Now, hot lapping it is terrifying because obviously when you're hot lapping, you want to get absolutely everything out of it, and this car is not so forgiving. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers adapt their driving style in this car from hot lapping to racing.
Absolutely, it's completely different experience to go from doing hot laps and you can just reset your back to start. If you go out or push a little bit too hard, as what you said, with these cars, they are a bit nervous to drive, a little bit dramatic how you drive them. Often you drive them a bit more aggressive than the more modern Formula cars.
Yeah. So here we are. We are on board right now with Samuli Kanari, who is doing a hot lap. I just love these cars. I love how much they move around the track. You can very quickly just go from oversteer to understeer, but if you get it right, if you kind of get it on that knife edge, if you can balance it, it's almost like a feeling of flying.
Yeah, it's unbelievable feeling, almost like you're driving on ice sometimes when you are, as these drivers are now trying to qualify and set the best possible lap time for the race that will determine their starting position.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're riding on board with Samuli Kanari, who is currently on provisional pole position as he comes around the final corner onto the start-finish straight. Look at me trying to pretend like I'm a commentator. I've never commentated.
Sounds professional, Tom.
Stop it, Bruce. Stop it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun doing this. It's a lot of fun watching these cars go around. But it's a short, quick fire quali session here. The guys have only got 6 minutes left to qualify. So I can see a lot of people being quite strategic. They're going out and they're just going to do two straight hot laps, fighting for that pole position. Because I don't know about you, but the first corner at Mugello in these cars, it's kind of a wide first corner.
Yeah,
but it's unforgiving if you get it wrong.
Absolutely, it turns into you after the first turn into the apex. It really turns into, but if you're able to hit the braking points right in and stay on that, sort of like a bench or a curb, it really helps you get the maximum out of the cars and get a good pace up for the next corner.
Yeah. So the first corner, San Donato into the left-hander, Luca, and then Poggio, like that little kind of right, left, right that you get to do right at the beginning of the lap. Like, I think once the drivers are through that, I think they'll kind of relax a little bit. Maybe that first Arrabbiata turn, the really fast right-hander into Arrabbiata 1 and Arrabbiata 2. I think these cars on the hard tyres, cold hard tyres on the first lap, that would be interesting. Now, given that up to now, we've only seen the drivers hot lapping, these guys don't know how each other are going to race. They don't know how much room they're going to get given. I expect they're going to be a little cagey going around that first lap. But there's got to be I mean, most people are probably thinking, if we can survive the first lap, then you're in for a chance of, a top 5 position, maybe even a podium. And the winner is going to be getting what, Runa? Tell us about the prize for tonight.
So the prize that we have for the first place today is going to receive a Varjo headset shipped by us. We're happy to give back, and I think it's really cool. I'm not sure if everyone is racing here today are actually driving in VR or not, so it would be interesting to find out maybe later on the winner already are racing in VR, or if they're looking to get into that.
Yeah, I definitely think I drive a little faster in VR. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, because you think that maybe not having that kind of immersion to deal with. There's kind of an argument, isn't there? When people talk about motion is all about the experience. It's not necessarily going to give you a performance advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about immersion with motion. But I think with VR and what we see with a few of the both Formula 1 teams and motorsport teams that we work with here in Varjo, is that what the feedback have been so far, at least for them, is that they're able to see depth and judge distances much better while they're racing inside VR compared to monitors or projectors.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the technology gets better and the headsets kind of get lighter, and they start to adopt these smaller form factors, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see VR being adopted in mainstream esports. It would add a new element for viewership, wouldn't it? Being able to see where the drivers' heads are turning, where they're, how soon are they looking towards the apex when they're racing?
Yeah, absolutely. And also with the eye tracking, for example, you're able to get analytics and statistics from the driver as well while they're driving. So I think there could be some really cool opportunities there for us in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I just enjoy it as well. One of my favorite things to do is to just drive in VR around the Nordschleife, with the graphics turned up and the sun's coming through the trees. Like, not even necessarily too fast, just going for a nice afternoon drive. It's a very relaxing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I tried a few rigs, or at least one of the rigs that were close to the ours at the expo. They had a crazy motion setup with just like an H-pad and shifter, and tried to drive like an old Mercedes classic car around the Nordschleife with full motion VR, everything. It was such a unique experience. As I said, you don't really need to be racing or pushing it all the time. It's all about like enjoying the experience of driving that VR gives you.
Yeah, it does. It almost kind of gives a new element to sim racing as a genre within gaming, right? So like, some people game for different things. Like, some people will play Call of Duty multiplayer and they're just like hammering the quick multiplayer because they just want that fix of having won a game, and, killed the most people, got the most points or whatever. And the same with sim racing, right? You see people going into either league racing or just kind of like random online servers, and they just want to win. But actually, some in the same way that some people will go and play like an adventure game. Like I'm a bit of a fan of Sea of Thieves, right? Because you could just go out not knowing what you want to do. There's no point. You're just going to go out and just go on an adventure.
Yeah.
I feel like VR is it's definitely pushing sim racing towards that style of play where you can just go and just enjoy the experience, just kind of get out of your day to day and do something slightly different.
Yeah, absolutely. I race, or I wouldn't say I race, but I drive sometimes with my friends here at home, where everyone is at their own place, and we've used the Assetto project map for Assetto Corsa, where you kind of have this Tokyo style, or it is in Tokyo, we have this Need for Speed sort of vibe onto it. It's just like driving around through the traffic and just like enjoying it and having a laugh about it. Don't do it as competitive, but just like for fun. It's a unique and cool experience.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I kind of like those community servers that you see where people are doing nothing in particular, but having a good time doing nothing in particular. So we have 10 seconds left of qualifying, even less so, and we are with Maynard, which is going to be his final lap, and he's just lost it. He's just lost it. That's the
trying to push it.
He's really trying to push it on that last lap, and that's the other thing I guess with VR is when you crash, it's you like, even though you know it's like it's not real. Like I don't know, even sometimes when I crash, I definitely feel my body tensing up a lot more in VR than I would be if I was just using a screen.
Yeah, the wall definitely feels a lot more close in VR.
So we got Lopez on provisional pole now with a 1:48.7, followed by Kinari with a 1:49.5. So Lopez has got a decent head start there. He's got a decent head start. He's he's kind of eight tenths ahead of P2. So he could be, if he can survive that first couple of corners, he could be with an absolute runaway winner here. Canary and then Heloise, again, they're separated by actually just about half a tenth, and then it starts to get tight. Then it starts to get really tight, and then you're kind of in the 2 or 3 tenths between the drivers. We've got Edward Waters on a 1:51.6 right now, making his way up. He's pitted. He's put his last lap in. So we're now looking at Eloise, who's 1.7 seconds back. What can he do around the final corner? Around Regina to see if he can put in a time to bust himself up to P2. It's going to be tight. I love the sense of speed you get even from this view, right? In VR. Oh, and he's pulled in. Okay, so I guess not. So it's a fairly tight mix qualifying though. It's going to be interesting these first couple of laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also the lap times that they put in is really good as well. So it's really fun to see that the community is. We have some really fast drivers up here in general. It's really cool to see as well. It's super tight going backwards. I think the first couple of laps fighting for positions will be crucial in the long run.
Yeah, and they've only had 4 or 5 laps each. But again, remember they've been hot lapping this track for the last 2 weeks, so they should at least be able to put a few laps together now and keep it on the track. Okay, so that looks like qualifying is complete. So, Bruno, what does it feel like from your perspective? Your first community event for Varjo. What's Varjo trying to get out of doing these community events?
I think that we have been speaking about it. Both some of the community members have actually asked about doing some sort of events, but also for myself as well as active sim racer. I feel like we are. At least for me, it's a really good and fun way to get closer to the community members. Not just chatting with them daily, but also being able to race together with them and hopefully be able to bring something back as well. And I think doing some sort of event, but also bringing some competitive spectra to it, I also think that kind of adds a bit of extra seasoning to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as Varjo, you get to learn a little bit more about your product, right? I bet there's so much about your product that sim racers will find out about your product, specifically within the context of sim racing, that perhaps like the Varjo team, the engineers, hadn't even considered. And then you kind of get that feedback from the guys who are doing it day in, day out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's sim racers and gamers more generally, I guess, who have kind of nudged the development roadmap of Varjo in certain directions.
Yeah, definitely. The feedback has been really good, and as we released the headset 2 years ago, we have had really good communication and been receiving a lot of really good feedback from our members, and it's been really good. As we can see in the sim racing and flight sim channels as well. There's a lot of really skilled people out there that are testing different settings and filters and mods and different sort of games that they are combining together.
Okay, so here we are. This is going to be the most tense part of the race for the Varjo community drivers who are sat on the grid now. They've got a 4-minute countdown, so they'll be grabbing a bit of water, maybe going through the first couple of corners in the head. You know the cool. You ever see the film Cool Runnings?
No, I don't think I've seen actually.
Okay, classic film. Well, A, you need to get yourself a lucky egg, and B, at some point in your life, you need to sit in the bathtub and visualize the track like they do on Cool Runnings.
Okay.
It's a great film, but without you understanding it, I'm gonna absolutely tie myself in knots here. So I'm gonna move on from there. So we've got in P1 we have Alejandro Lopez, P2 Samuli Canari, P3 Heloise, P4 Don Maynardo, P5 Johan Sapanian, P6 Edward Wanders, P7 is UC Cuckoo, in 8 we've got RB, 9 Smagma, and then 10 is Arca, 11 Alexa. So we've got 11 cars on the grid ready to go around the first couple of corners. I'd be getting a little bit nervous if I was them right now.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely they are, and I also think in general speaking, at least for myself, being during actually competing in online race, it brings a bit extra tension to what you're doing, racing with AI or just offline on a computer. You don't really have that adrenaline rushing, but now that you're actually competing with other people and there are some things at stake here, then definitely exciting.
Yeah, you get a bit it's a bit nerve-wracking because you know that if you crash into somebody, it's not an AI, it's somebody who actually cares about the result they're about to get, especially when there's a prize on the line. Now we obviously have a team of stewards who are going to be looking at the race throughout and afterwards, and any incidents that happen will be submitted to the stewards, and the stewards will then make their decision. But even then, it's a little nerve-wracking knowing that if you crash somebody out, especially, and I don't want to say necessarily that I'm speaking from experience here, but if you're a backmarker and you see P1 coming around the corner and you want to make sure that you move over to the right, if you over to the right side of the track to let them pass, the worst thing you can possibly do as a backmarker is crash out the leader, especially when there's a prize such as the Varjo Aero on the line.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's similar to what it is in real Formula 1, right? So when you're going for the first lap or you're competing after more than half of the races, it's all about giving each other the room and respect.
Yeah, and you have to give yourself, you have to give each other a lot of room in these cars because they are slightly unpredictable. We saw from qualifying just quite how much they slide around. So, you're assuming that the car on the outside of you is going to be understeering just as much as you are, but it's a bit of a gamble to take.
Yeah, absolutely. So it will be interesting to see into turn 1 now how we get off from the start.
Runa, honestly, for people watching, Runa and I are not commentators. I found a grid finder. Runa works for Varjo, and we came up with this concept for this community race, and we are now trying to fill what feels like the longest 5-minute countdown of our lives with inane babble about the race. But actually, you know what? I don't think we're doing too bad a job, Runa. Maybe there's a career as a commentator here for you in the future.
Yeah, well, let's see after the race how the feedback are best to say. It's the first time for everything, so let's just jump into it. And I think we're doing all right though. No one has complained so far. So let's see.
So far the chat has been kind. Countdown. We've got another 60 seconds until the race starts. Rune, have you learned all of the corner names, the length of the track, whereabouts in Italy this track is? You ready to go with the commentary?
Oh, I'm so bad at that. No, the funny thing is I actually drive this track quite a lot, but I'm doing it while drifting, so I don't really pay attention to what the corner names are or the track.
I mean, drifting.
Only thing I know, you could do 3 rounds on a set of normal tires while drifting. That I know, but the other ones I'm not sure.
You need more fun facts about Mugello. What I should have done is I should have Googled a fun fact sheet about Mugello beforehand. I bet every good commentator, not saying that you are not Luna, every good commentator has a fact sheet for every single track. Okay, anyway, we survived. We survived the 5-minute countdown there. That's all 6 lights are on, and we're off.
Lights off.
And it's a cagey start. It's a cagey start. There's a bit of a slow start at the back there. I think there might be a tactical slow start from Alexa at the back there. Perhaps she's just going to wait and see what happens going into this first corner. They're going 2 wide, P2 and 3. Okay.
Nice.
Tell you what, it's fairly, it's respectful. I think people are really, I'm not going to say tiptoeing around. That's probably underselling it, but I think people are really giving each other the room here. This is a very respectable first race. Lopez has managed to keep the lead. Canary in P2, so not too much of a change of the order here. We're still nice and tight together as we come around Borgo San Lorenzo. Do you see what I did there? I remember one of the corner names.
Ooh, nice.
Casanova and Cavelli. I definitely don't have the Wikipedia page up on my second monitor here. But this is nice. This is nice racing.
Absolutely, and as they said, you can lose the race in the first corner, but you can't win it. So
yeah, absolutely. P1 and P2, they are tight. They are close together. That's Canary chasing down Lopez for the lead here, just taking his time by the look, but he's putting him under a little bit of pressure. He's looking up to the inside. He's definitely making Lopez aware that he's there. But nothing silly so far. It's the first lap with these hard tires, you've really got to warm them up. So it's a sensible strategy, I think, and it'll be interesting to see if there is any strategy. We're on the hard tires. The pit stop strategy is totally open, so they can pit at any time they want, but they don't have to pit. So it'll be interesting to see as we get later on into this race if anyone does choose to pit at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be interesting to see how strategy pays on. If you want to go aggressive from the start and head for a pit stop around midway, or if you want to go for more the steady approach and try to have these tires last out the whole session.
Well, talking a steady approach, we've had an incident at the back there with Smagma and Arca, with Arca coming off worse. Now 4 seconds behind. He's gone into the pit, so perhaps some damage to be repaired there. Lopez and Canary still very close for P1 and P2. 3 and 4, Heloise and Wander tight as well. It feels like we have 2 battles going on here. We have the battle for the win and the battle for the last step on the podium. I'm looking forward to seeing how these two pan out. I imagine they're still in that very kind of tetchy phase of the first race where it's just there's still a lot of nerves, still a lot of okay, I'm just going to hold on for now, I'm not going to do anything too stupid, but it's giving us a good race to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it looks like most of them are trying to maybe stay a bit cool now the first couple of laps, try to get into the tires and get a proper feel for the car, and hopefully we'll see some good racing. And already see there's as you said, it's pretty close between the couple in front and then the ones that are coming fighting further back.
Yeah, P4, P5 catching up with P3 and P4. So I think there is going to be a bit of a squabble for the last step on the podium here. Arca, meanwhile, has been into the pits and is back out again. So fair play to Arca. Still got a long way to catch up with the rest of the pack. About half a lap behind the leaders, but didn't give up, and I love that. I do love that in community racing. When you crash and you're like, well, it's a 30-minute race, I'm going to have damage, is there any point? Just get on with it. You're 23 seconds behind, anything could happen, especially when the racing at the front is so close. Look at that, we're 2 laps in now and we've still got a nice tight bunch at the front. Everybody putting in purple times as they're starting to warm up their tyres and get a little bit more confident with the track and with the car. Remembering that these guys haven't raced on this track with each other yet. This is the first time they're trying to work out, okay, this is the line for optimizing the hot lap and this is the line for getting ourselves a good quali. But when it comes to racing, you're having to explore new lines probably for the first time.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are some new lines to be discovered here, and also when you see them getting closer on and starting to defend a bit as well, and need to find new lines on how to get through.
Yeah, discovering new lines is something I do quite a lot when I'm sim racing, but it's definitely not intentional. It reminds me of the Gran Turismo film. when the guy's like Jan Mardenborough, the guy playing Jan Marden is like, I don't use the racing ladder, just take a different ladder. Like, well, so do I, but it's only because I missed my breaking point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you get around, right? It's not always to get the quickest lap time, but as
survival.
for survival, correctly. So now we're racing still 25 minutes left to go. There's still a lot of laps to be turned. So let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 5 minutes already. Seflin looking up the inside of Warner. This is going to be interesting to Biandetti 1 and Biandetti 2. Nice and respectful racing. They've given each other the nice enough space. Seflin just backed out there, but by backing out, he's opened the door for Cuckoo. He's looking up the inside. Okay, he's just let off. But in letting off and giving Seflin the space, he's also opened the door for Maynard. There was a position swap, but I think they've just they've swapped again. So this is Maynard now looking to get that position back from Cuckoo down the straight using the slipstream. Doesn't seem to have had a great exit. Doesn't seem to be making much ground up on Cuckoo here, but it's probably going to give it a go. Probably a little bit far back to make the dive bomb up. And again, we thought about it very close. These cars are very, very. They drive on a knife edge, so the last thing you want is contact to unbalance the car around San Donato. But this is tight positions for 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no! He just about. Maynard managed to just about minimize or mitigate the damage there by slamming on the brakes as Cuckoo lost it all on his own accord.
Yeah, getting a bit excited out of the corner there, I think.
This is the constant trade-off that you have to make in these cars, right? It's, you know, do I absolutely push because I'm racing at the risk of potentially losing control, or do I give up a position but stay in control of the car? And in that instance, Cuckoo has lost positions and will probably lose time due to damage now. He's lost the back end of the car just going over the curb there. But this is good news for Warner and Seflin, who have now built a bit of a gap to Maynard, who's now 3.2 seconds behind. The fight for the last step on the podium is being absolutely dominated by Heloise now, who's 2.3 seconds ahead, as Ed Warner got caught up in some really good battling there with Seflin and Maynard. So we're early on in the race, but I think I would say that Heloise is probably the winner out of that little two-lap battle, and Cuckoo clearly the loser.
Yeah, I would say so. It's super close to the sort of racing we want to see. Really, it's like super close, multiple cars battling for positions.
And meanwhile, Lopez and Canary at the front, you know, they seem to be connected by some kind of rubber band. There's hardly any distance between them whatsoever. Just a tenth in it. Always a little bit of oversteer there from Warner. Perhaps a bit of a late break, but he's managed to hold on to it. But that's brought Sepanier right up behind him. This must be
getting the chance now on the short straight, maybe.
This is beautiful, though, isn't it? That view from the cockpit from Sepanier there. You see that huge kind of dominating shadow of the rear wing of the Lotus as you're kind of pulling up to it. This is it's going to be an interesting move into Casanova and Savelli. It's a bit of a tough one to overtake here, but if you get the exit right out of Arrabbiata 1 and Arrabbiata 2, you can always make a move into Scarperia, as I keep my Wikipedia page open on my second monitor.
You got us there professional, right? So
I know I can almost pass as I lost my voice at the Sim Racing Expo, and it's just about come back for this, but I've still got another 21 minutes to last. I wonder who's going to last longer, the drivers or my
the commentators.
Yeah. So Lopez and Canary still a tenth in it there. They're Lopez seems to be building a bit of a gap. But coming into that final corner, Buccina, you'll see him. He'll be catching up. But meanwhile, Ed Warner is getting caught by. He's going up the inside. He's trying. It's wheel to wheel. There's a risk of an understeer on the exit here. Is he going to take the corner? Is he going to take the curb? He has.
Close.
Yeah, that was beautiful. So Sepanian then has taken the position from Warner in a beautifully clean move, but Warner's coming back up the inside. This is intense. This must be the most nerve-wracking. Oh, that was a late break. So that was beautiful there. You saw Sepanian there clearly outbroke himself, but rather than commit and keep left hand down, just straightened up the wheel, slammed on the brakes, and kept the race alive for both Warner and Sepanian. That was great sportsmanship to watch, actually, because he could have just kept it in, kept his hand down and understeered straight into the side of Warner, but just purely out of respect there, just opened the wheel up and slammed on the brakes, lost himself a ton of time to Warner, but didn't ruin both of their races in the process. So that was beautiful to see. There's a bit of a gap now for Sepanian to catch up with, but I mean, what a challenge. I mean, it's a first world problem, right? Getting to drive these cars around Mugello in a race like this with the Varjo community.
Yeah, sorry. Driving so far has been super clear. I'm impressed by the drivers. Everyone has been able to put it on, have it inside the track so far, and giving each other space in the braking zone. So it's really fun to see.
Yeah, the race seems to have settled down a little bit. The gaps, especially towards the back of the field, are opening. We've got Smagma now 35 seconds behind Cuckoo. But remember, Cuckoo span out a couple of laps ago on their own accord, but is slowly.
Yeah, and I think we lost a driver as well.
We have lost. We've lost Alexa. Alexa seemed to have got quite a bad start at the beginning of the race. Has gone into the pits now. Hasn't disconnected. So in the pits, I wonder if there's a strategy at play. I think perhaps unlikely. Could be some damage. The damage is reduced to 50% here, but still, it would make a big difference in the course of this race. So Warner is pushing ahead now. Got 4.3 second gap to close to Helois here. Sepanian 1 second behind, so it's closed the gap down to 1 second. So Warner's now got a decision to make. Do they push and try and open that gap at the risk of potentially losing control of the car, or do they just keep control of the car, keep steady, knowing that Sepanian might be able to catch them, but overtaking is a totally different story in these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to control your pace, but as well trying to be later than your opponent in the braking zones. It's a bit of a risky game. So let's see now that we're approaching halfway soon. It's as I said, the race is settling down, but still have some decent fights up there, and let's see if anyone are able to catch up with those in front.
I can't believe that we're already at half race distance. That's nuts to me. So Lopez has now built a gap of 1.4 seconds to Canary. Canary putting in lap times about 2/10 slower, so they're very evenly matched. But Lopez just has that small margin, and if you combine the small margin with consistency, you build gaps, and that's exactly what Lopez has done out the front. But a 1.4 second gap to the leader, I think, in these cars on this track is absolutely nothing, and I doubt Lopez is going to be taking his mind off the prize being the Varjo area. See what I did there? That was a little segue there to the to plugging Varjo. Honestly, Mike, our broadcaster, listening. Okay, I'm gonna open up my calendar and open myself up to broadcast. I'm loving this, absolutely loving this commentary.
Yeah, you're doing it amazing, Tom. This is professional. Definitely be interesting to see if Lopez and Canary, if they are on different strategies, and seeing if anyone of them are planning to go into pit and maybe box for new tires, or if they're trying to make the tires that last that they have now.
Well, that's a very good point, actually, because we are getting to half race distance, and the only tyres allowed are the hards. So if you were going to pit, it would make sense to pit at about the halfway point. That being said, I imagine if I was Canary, I would be waiting to see what Lopez does and probably do exactly the opposite. I.e., if Lopez goes in for tyres, stay out and risk it and see if you can maintain that gap on old tyres. And if they don't, maybe it's going to get to 12 minutes to go. Do you risk coming in? The lap times are not too dissimilar from their best. We're putting in 49.1s and 49.3s at the front, and the best times were 48.8s and 49.0s. So we're only talking a few tenths. The hard tyres don't seem to have dropped off very much. So if it was me, I would be tempted to stay out and take this all the way to the end of the race. But we'll see what decision is made. I guess the leader of the race is commanding the race, so it's entirely up to them what they do. In the meantime, further back, Sepanian has caught up to Warner, now 6/10 behind. This is going to be a good battle. They had a very, very clean battle about 3 laps ago, and you've just seen Sepanian just slowly reeling in Warner. Just not blistering times, not half a tenth or a second faster, but just a few tenths every single lap has managed to reel Warner in. So Warner's going to be able to defend, and now we're later on in the race. Warner's a little bit more comfortable with the car, a bit more comfortable with the track. Perhaps going to be a bit more daring with a defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency is really key, as we mentioned earlier on. Like being able to drive for the full 30 minutes, you need to be consistent, putting in decent lap times, and it's the one that are able to do that over the longest period of time that will end up being in front. So
yeah, absolutely
interesting to see now that we narrow this down and minutes go down.
Yeah, we've got P1, P2, P3 seem to have, let's not jinx it, but seem to have set their positions on the podium. Gap from P1 to P2, 2.6 seconds, and 2 to 3 is 10.4 seconds. They're all putting in fairly similar lap times, and then Ed Warner down in P4 is lapping at about a second slower, but of course they're locked in a battle between 4, 5, and 6. So obviously they are going to be going slightly slower, as they're thinking a little bit more defensively. So I think it's the battle for P4 here that's going to be the most interesting as we come into the last 14 minutes of the race. Sepanian now really reeling in Warner. It's getting to that point where you start to feel like you're under the oh, he's made a move up the inside. He's locked up, but again kept it nice and tight on the inside, and he's made the move. He's made it stick. He's now defending he's gone to the outside. Sepanian has now got the inside line. Back in shot now to side by side.
Closing up now for turn 1. Who breaks the latest, then we'll have the coming first one out of turn 1.
So Sepanian's now got the inside line. They're giving each other loads and loads of space. Warner's gone quite wide, but we'll have the inside line for the next corner. And that looks like Warner has made the defense stick, but we got 12 minutes left. I don't think this is the end of it. Sepanian's coming back now, right underneath the gearbox of Warner, staying on the outside. Chose not to dive up the inside at Materassi and then into Borgo San Lorenzo. The Wikipedia page still etched on my screen. And now we've got Sepanian putting loads of pressure on. Seems to have got a much better exit through Casanova. And Cervelli is going to be right underneath the gearbox as we go through Arrabbiata 1 and 2. Will he make a move into Scarperia? We'll see. He seems to have got a really decent exit here. He's definitely catching. He's a bit of the curb.
Really good entry.
Yeah, he's going to make the move. Is he going to brake later? No, he's playing it very safe. You've got a very long straight on this track, so it's as much as it would be tempting.
Yeah, it seems his strategy is to wait until the last corner, trying to go inside, and then see if we're able to carry enough speed through on the long straight into turn 1.
It's a sensible strategy, because with this car and this track, it's very easy to make a mistake. So if you could just put Warner under a decent amount of pressure, force a mistake, then he's going to he'll get the position either way. If he's gone for a move up the inside. He's pushed Warner wide around the last corner into these, so Warner's going to get the cutback potentially. It depends how good Warner's exit is, see if he can catch up going down the very, very long start-finish straight. Ironically, now Warner is going to have the slipstream going all the way down the start-finish straight, so perhaps by losing the position on the very, very last corner of the lap, seems to have given himself the advantage. He is on the inside. Warner goes up the inside, Sepanian around the outside. He's gone very wide, almost 2 wheels on the grass. That would have been an absolute disaster. But what this has done is it's brought Maynard into the fight.
Yeah, this is turning out to be a really, really good battle now for 3 people battling for positions. And it's as you can see, it's super close racing. This is sort of thing everyone wants to see.
Oh, he's oversteered. He's slammed on the brakes again. Very, very respectful.
Bit late there, yeah.
Yeah, so Sepanian slammed on the brakes there to avoid the incident with Warner, but has got the position over Warner. So Sepanian's now at the front. Warner's all over the place now, the 2 wheels on the grass, and Maynard is watching all of this, thinking, right, if these guys have lost their flow, maybe I can maybe I can take advantage and get both of these positioned. Warner seems to be understeering into absolutely every corner at the moment. I feel like that little battle there seems to have unsettled him. And I wonder if this is tyre degradation coming into play.
Yeah, it could be tire temperature playing in a bit here, or even if you have burned up his tires, you braking a bit too late and locking up into the first corner there.
It's huge oversteer there by Maynard. We still haven't seen anybody pitting. Lopez has just gone past the pit straight from P1, so it's choosing not to pit, but these cars are now all over the place. 30 minutes was... Oh, Warner's just got a little bit of contact, He's managed to just about hold on to it, thanks to the huge runoff on the outside of Biandetti 2. So as they go into the final corner, there's a bit of a gap opening up now. Maynard is now half a second behind Warner. Warner's now 3.5 seconds behind Sepanian. So Sepanian has dominated that just through not making any mistakes. And I think perhaps Warner's used up all of his tyres. P4, P5 and P6 are lapping 2 or 3 seconds slower than 1, 2 and 3 now, purely because they're locked into this battle. So the positions on the podium seem to be fairly set, but as we can see, the tyre degradation is such that anything could happen. Like, mistakes are very easy. Nobody can be blamed at this stage in the race for making a mistake, and oversteer seems to be the threat right now for everybody on the grid, whether you're P1 or P9.
Yeah, the car seems to be tire seems to be getting a bit tired, and I think we're seeing that now as they getting a bit eager and maybe a bit aggressive as well, trying to fight for the positions here in the midfield. Yeah, it's seeing in the front there, Lotus just keep pulling away lap by lap over Kinari. He seems to be have a good grip over the first place so far.
Feels like 20 minutes was about the maximum that these tyres were taking, but with a 30-minute race, you've got a decision to make. Do you pit and get fresh tyres on? Perhaps that's a bit too late now with only 8 minutes to go. You have a lot to catch up on. So the drivers now will have to make a decision. You know, do they settle with their position and just bring it home, or do they push, knowing that pushing is incredibly difficult? The lap consistencies that we've got on the board now are all over the place, with the exception of P1, who's put in a time that was only 0.2 slower than their best time. P2 only 0.3 slower than the best time. P1 and P2 seem to be maintaining an incredible level of consistency, but the fight for P4, 5 and 6 seems to have opened up. But we do have Warner and Maynard. Maynard is closing up with Warner. Warner seems to have lost their flow a little bit. Sepanian's definitely making the most of that, pushing themselves well away from the fight for P5 as they go around San Donato. But it's edgy. It looks really edgy.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it while driving these cars. Like they are a bit itchy and on the edge while the tires are still good. But now that we really see the tires are really starting to get it, it's you're sliding around a bit and you have to brake a little bit earlier and be a little bit more gentle on throttle going out of the corners. You're not spinning around or going off track.
Absolutely. Now Warner's going to be absolutely exhausted right now, because out of all the drivers, Warner has been no more than a second away from a car ahead or behind, and a lot of the time ahead and behind for all of this race. Seems to have been doing most of the overtakes or being overtaken that's happened in this race has involved Warner. And now with 6 minutes to go, Maynard is hunting him down, the 13 chasing up the number 4. It's the poor guy is going to be absolutely exhausted as he goes around Buccina. I'm gonna have to stop trying to make it sound like I know what these corners are. Warner with huge understeer. Maynard just almost letting off there as he got onto the right on the inside with 2 wheels on the curve. He's all over the back of Warner, to the left of him, to the right of him. Warner's going to be really worrying that he's going to have gone from P4 down to P6 within the space of a couple of laps. But it does look like Maynard's tyres are suffering just as much as Warner's now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see who has been able to take good care of their tires in the earlier start head of race. It'll be interesting to see now the last couple of minutes where we'll really see if we're getting any late attacks by Maynard.
Yeah, and
seems to have a bit better tires could see.
Yeah, he does. He seems to be holding on the inside. Warner's got the inside for Luco and then into Podjesteco. So he's managed to hold off Maynard for now. But he does have another 5 minutes to go. So that's another two or three laps where he's going to have to... Oh, that's huge oversteer. He's sliding wide. Is he on the gravel? And he's spun it. He's absolutely spun it. Fair play.
As we talked about, sadly breaking a little bit too late on these tires that are getting really, really tired now. You are unfortunately losing the car a bit too easy. But that's part of the race, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, Warner has been under a lot of pressure for this whole race. He's never had more than a couple of moments to breathe. And I think it's fair to say that Sepanian and Maynardo basically employed exactly the same tactic, which was just stay behind him, right behind Warner until he made a mistake.
Keep the pressure on.
Yeah, exactly. That was it was incredible to see both of those strategies basically being exactly the same, and both had the same effect. And you know, I was about to say poor Warner, but actually he's probably had the most fun out of anybody in this race so far. He's been wheel to wheel with more cars than anybody else, bringing us all the way into the last 4 minutes of the race. Even now, he's only a second away from P6, and despite being at P4 previously, fairly convinced that he's going to be fighting for that P6 position from RB. But he's probably mentally exhausted by this point.
Yeah, I would have been as well, and I think I would have probably done the same mistake as we hear the professional commentators talk about the Formula One as well. Like, it's all about the pressure from the rear. If you are really close, if you have a car really close behind you, it really adds an extra pressure to the driving that you're supposed to do. You really need to drive a bit different racing line and be a bit more defensive on the way that you place yourself on the track, and not all of the time it ends up being the quickest lap around. It opens up for those behind.
Yeah, and what's kind of beautiful is you can tell that these guys have been practicing on this track. 30 minutes in these old school Formula One cars on a track as treacherous as Mugello, and everybody so far, as I can see, is on the lead lap, which is fairly impressive, I would say, for this combination. So Warner is now catching up with RB, and once again we're going to have Warner on the screen. As has been the case for most of this race. I think if I was a sponsor, I would want Warner to be. I would want my logo on the side of Warner's car, because he seems to be all over the broadcast. He's gone up the inside, and he's now a bit of a veteran when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing around this track. So no doubt he's going to give us a good show as he looks to the outside here of one of the corners, and he's holding on around the outside. He's just let him go. He's gone for the switchback, but it's not going to work because RB's got a better exit as we go through Biandetti 1 and Biandetti 2 and into
Let's see on the last corner here. Warner
still got another few minutes. He's going to get at least one more lap if he can get a good exit here. The slipstream down this very, very long start-finish straight should make a difference and close that gap from 5/10 down to 3 or 4. It does seem to be catching very slowly, but again, unlike RB, Warner has been battling this whole race, so we might expect his tyres to be slightly worse for wear than RB. He's largely been on his own since the first couple of laps of this race expired. But Warner is looking again to get right under the gearbox, and I wonder now if Warner can essentially learn from the guys that overtook him and just not go for the move, but just keep the pressure on behind RB, not do anything too crazy, don't push too hard. If you can just stay in the rearview mirror of RB, he might be able to make him make the same mistakes that he made against Maynard and Sepanian, and playing this P6, which it's not P4, but I expect if he can just get a position back, he might feel quite good about it, and end this race on a high, which he definitely deserves because he's put in a shift.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been, as you said, under constant pressure during the whole race, and it's been really great to see the sort of driving he's been doing, both aggressively and doing the defensive as well. So it'll be interesting to see now on what he's able to do on the last lap.
Meanwhile, we've got Lopez going around San Donato for the last lap of the race. Lopez It doesn't potentially look like Lopez and Canari have had an absolute thriller battle from the start of this race in the same way that Warner's had with Sepanian and Maynard, and then latterly RB. But actually, if you look at the times between P1 and P2, Lopez and Canari have been a couple of tenths out. They've been trading tenths for the last 30 minutes. I expect they're absolutely sweating. And Lopez has just edged it by just being slightly more consistent with the faster lap times, which has over 30 minutes opened up only 5 seconds, which is nuts. So Lopez with a very, very deserved P1 for now. Obviously anything could happen given the car and track, but given his consistency up to now, I'd be very surprised if anything, commentator's curse, if anything happens. But Lopez should be applauded for an absolutely incredible performance in this race. As we see, Warner and RB, have they swapped positions? I think they have.
I think they have, yeah.
I think RB's now going to be coming back as they head up towards Materassi. It's going to be close. He's right on the gearbox. He's just gone to the outside. You can see Warner is oversteering his way through Borgo San Lorenzo. The Tyres absolutely shot by this point into Casanova and Cervelli. I think Warner, if he can keep this position across the line on the final lap, it's a silver line. Meanwhile, Lopez crosses the finish line to win the first ever Varjo community anniversary race, taking home a Varjo Aero. Which is pretty incredible when you think about it. So let's see how this pans out as Canari crosses the line for P2. Heloise is going to take P3. Sepanian will take P4. Maynard only a second behind, but the battle for P6 and P7 rages on at the back here. Can Warner hold onto a deserved P6? I really hope so. This is Sepanian. Seems to have been caught up here by Maynard as they go down the start-finish straight to claim their positions. P4 for Sepanian, P5 Maynard, and 6 for Warner, who's now got RB 6 tenths behind, but has got a decent exit coming out of Pacino. Is going to take home P6, which I think is I'd say it's a race he can be proud of. Perhaps he probably wanted a better result, but the race itself, I think we're very proud of that. That was a lot of fun to watch. Runa, that was intense. That was intense. We've still got Cuckoo coming across the line here to take P8, but that was an incredibly enjoyable race, which, for a race with this many drivers on a track this long in these cars, on paper wasn't lining up to be an absolutely crazy one, but that was, from start to finish, there was something going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. The race been at least exceeded my expectations by far. I think we managed to see a really clean start there in the beginning, and being able to also see some really close racing, both in the beginning but during the whole session as well. It's been cool to see, and I hope the drivers had some good fun while challenging each other. So
Lopez is taking home a pretty incredible prize, I would say.
Absolutely, super cool.
Yeah, so we're just going to bring Lopez into the commentary box here. I'm going to assume that the guy is pretty sweaty, pretty exhausted after that. But he's going to join us in the commentary box, and we'll see how he enjoyed that. Again, not a wheel-to-wheel thriller from start to finish, but definitely an intense race, trading tenths with Canari in P2. Oh no, we've lost Runa. We're losing our voices from Expo. Come on, stay strong, my man.
Yeah, keeping in there now. It's getting lost, but yeah, hanging in there. 30 minutes went quick away, so we should be able to last the few minutes here now.
Yeah, we're. I don't think we're gonna get Lopez in the chat. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna try and find Ed, because Ed had an absolutely incredible battle. If I can find Ed in the chat and drag him into the commentary box, I would be interested to hear his thoughts on the race.
Yeah. Let's
Okay,
see
so
if yeah, no, go ahead.
are we saying this is the first of many?
I would say so. At least for me, it was super exciting to be a part of this and hosting this together with you guys and our community members. It was exciting, and we got to see some really cool racing. So hopefully people are agreeing. Let's see if we're able to host more of these in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rune, thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed that commentary experience. It was,
Likewise, Tom. Like you have to say that sounds very professional.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to thank you. I'd like to extend my thank you to Wikipedia. They did a great job with the track map. I essentially had the Assetto hosting live track map right underneath the Wikipedia track map. So as they went round, you could see the names. It was it was genius. Okay, and we are joined now by Ed. So Ed, how was that for you?
Obviously very tricky. These cars are something else to drive. It's amazing, but at the same time sketchy. So yeah, I think in how the race went, the start went great, but then yeah, just mistakes.
It was a lot of fun to watch. You seemed to be battling for the entire 30 minutes. I don't think we watched a single battle on that screen, other than maybe the first couple of laps. P1 and P2 were very close for maybe a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps. Other than that, it seemed to be battles involving you. You must be exhausted.
Yeah, definitely. These guys are quick. Like it's sad that a couple things, like my mistake obviously wasn't a great one. The spin that I had, but other than that, it was great. I knew I wasn't gonna be the fastest. I just went for a bit of a race today.
Yeah, well, it was
entertaining race for sure.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. So thank you.
No worries.
Okay, Rune, that wraps us up then for the first ever Varjo community race. First of many. Happy anniversary, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.
Grid Finder is the home of sim racing leagues. Our management tools allow you to recruit drivers and monitor their ratings and live splits. Find this and more at gridfinder.com. Sign up for free today.